Good morning. We're coming at you live from Counseling Solutions, Killeen, Texas. I'm Debbie Mabry.
I'm Lynette Keller.
And today our guest speaker is Michelle Moore.
Hi.
Michelle, tell us a little bit about who you are and why you're here with Counseling Solutions. Michelle has been on our discussion before. And we love having her in, but now she's ours to stay for a while. Forever. So talk to us, Miss Michelle.
Let's see. I recently got my license as a marriage and family therapist associate. So passed my test in August. We got things rolling, and now I'm here forever.
Yay! She's doing her residency with us, her 3,000 hours, and when you finish that, you're going to be totally legit, aren't you?
And then I'll be legit here forever.
Street legal. Street legal.
Love it.
Mm-hmm. Next time you see Michelle in our next podcast YouTube video will be in about 2 weeks, and she'll be talking to us then about emotional support dogs, medical alert dogs. If you're interested, how you would go about doing these things, that's another passion of hers. Passion. And right now, Michelle is starting a group.
Yes.
And it's my understanding that's kind of how this topic of gaslighting became our topic today.
Yes.
Was because of your research. What happened with that?
So I'm doing a domestic violence group. It's going to start November 1st at 6:30 p.m. So here at Counseling Solutions. So I was just doing research on domestic violence, and I came upon gaslighting. And ironically, my husband brought it up to me like 2 weeks ago, and he was watching another YouTube channel that he likes to watch. I think it's SciShow or something, and they were talking about gaslighting. And he's like, "Do you know about this?" And I'm like, "I do." And then I started thinking about domestic violence, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, we need to add this in our group," because a lot of people don't know what gaslighting is. They don't know that they're victims of gaslighting. They don't know the signs of gaslighting. It's just this huge buzzword recently, it seems.
So how is that part of domestic violence?
Because it's a part of psychological abuse.
Psychological abuse can also be a part of domestic violence.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's how this podcast started.
Miss Lynette, I know you're our research person.
Yes.
What do you have for us on gaslighting?
Well, research tells us that gaslighting is a tactic in which a person or entity, in order to gain more power, will use over another person is to dominate the person to the degree that it pretty much renders them helpless, to the point where the best way I can describe it is they will try to make the person believe that he or she is quote unquote crazy. Not a clinical term, but it's a term people are familiar with. And it can go as far as when a person says something, coming right back around and saying, "Oh, you know what you're talking about." Or either going to another person beside them saying, "Don't listen to her, she's crazy." Invalidating everything that the person says, does, their beliefs, to the point that the person no longer believes that he or she is competent in the things that they once thought they were competent in.
So you're saying that an individual, let's just say a professional male, decides for whatever reason they want to shut down a professional female. And all they have to do is to make that female think that she's lost her mind, that she doesn't remember things correctly, that she's doing things that she doesn't recall doing. And that's supposed to make her give up? How did that happen?
Sounds crazy enough, but the perfect illustration of this is the movie Girl from the Train. And if you're familiar with the film, it illustrates from start to finish how a person can do this to another person by way of gaslighting. Having this individual believe that they had too much to drink and started a fight, when in reality, They were probably given something before going to the party. Person passes out and the whole thing just never happened. But according to the gaslighter, this is all of the terrible stuff you did, and you were just out of your mind when you did it. And the person can't recall. And after a while, it becomes systematic, and they begin to doubt themselves. It's like, well, did I do that? And I just don't remember doing it. And if he or she can get an audience to believe or buy into it, it just goes downhill from there.
What's really interesting is people that gaslight, they use lies and they have it sound like it's a fact. So you're thinking, oh, this really did happen, but it didn't. Or what they'll say is they'll bring it up to someone else and they're like, oh, blah, blah, blah said this, that, and all the other. And that person will go to that person that they were talking about in front of the person, and that person will say, oh, no, I didn't say that. I never said that. I've had that happen to me before. It drives me insane. And that's where gaslighting comes, and that's why you feel insane, because you don't feel like you're making sense.
And of course, the other person is not going to believe you because they believe that you are denying that, because the instigator has said, has already laid that path out. Oh, she's going to deny that. You know she's not going to fess up to it.
Laying that foundation.
So they can create whatever storyline they choose. They can invent lies about you. And no matter how much you try to make people understand that these are not truths, you just dig yourself in a hole deeper.
And then when you try to call them out on it, oh, no, you misheard me. Or, oh, you're too sensitive.
Would there be a response such as, you're lying and you did say this to begin with?
Yeah, but in their head, you know, they already have a response no matter what, and it always comes back to, you're wrong. Every single time.
It's almost like if you tell the same lie long enough to enough people,
it becomes a truth.
It becomes a truth. When in reality, it's actually a lie. So it goes back to that foundation. And for that person to question the individual who's being gaslit, to fight it. And it seems like the harder you try to fight it and rebut it, the worse you look. And the more it caters into the narrative that's been spun for you, which doesn't help. And it comes across as some serious denial. Oh, she's in such denial.
Or she's too sensitive.
Yes.
She's too emotional.
Yes.
Maybe she needs to go get help.
Yes.
And the whole time the person's just saying the truth.
The whole time.
So how does that end?
Unless someone is on the outside looking in and can clearly see or tell them the truth, no, you didn't cause a scene at the party. Matter of fact, when you came in, you looked ill and you laid down. And we just let you, rest. But there was no incident.
Right.
And then the more you start to hear, start to refute or rebut the stuff that's out there, the more and more the truth actually surfaces to the light. But that's when a person is very fortunate, or by way of coming in to see a professional and explain their circumstances, with the hope that the professional is aware of gaslighting and the characteristics thereof, and not oblivious to it and catering into something that they're hearing when they really don't know what it is that they're looking at.
Liars seem to be in not short supply.
No.
We know that, and we've never done a section, a video on lying, but that might be something we think about in the future.
Oh, absolutely. Pathological liars, oh my gosh. And pathological liars are notorious for doing stuff that will end other people in the court system. Will lead them there.
Wow.
They will tell a fantastic tale or story, and again, spin that yarn.
Spin it.
And when you get in that situation, it's what is it? I don't want to use suspension of disbelief, but to explain the science behind it, it is the way that our brain is fashioned. We can believe the absolute worst of a situation. The fight within is to disassociate and say, okay, well, let me start picking this apart to see if there's some truth or validity to what I'm hearing. But we don't do that. We buy into the horrific story.
Buy into it.
And that's
That's
all
why gaslighting is,
yes.
it's the most extreme form of psychological abuse a person can go through.
And the more people, it's infectious.
Yes.
So you have 8 or 9 people who are believing this to be true.
The yarn of the pathological liar, yes, is very convincing.
You also were talking about another movie, I believe.
Oh, it's called Gaslight.
Gaslight for
Yeah.
gaslighting.
Is that the 1944 film?
Yes, it was adapted from a 1938 play.
Mhm.
And so it's this long, insane story of this jewel thief. He gets caught in the middle of stealing all these jewels, so he hides it in this house. And the person that gets caught by him is the niece that lives there. So the niece gets taken away or whatever, taken to a different country, and she gets raised up there, and she meets this amazing, charming man. And they go through this gorgeous little romance and everything. He loves her, she loves him, let's get married. They get married, and he starts doing little things like moving the furniture around. And back then they used to have gas lights, lights from gas. And so he used to do it where he was, or this is more in the play than in the film, but it's adapted. So he would turn the lights down to where it's flickering, and she'd be like, oh, there's something wrong with the house. Did you see that light flickering? And he's like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. And this went on for months and months and months. And slowly he's isolating her at the same time, telling the people around her, oh, she's crazy, she's not making any sense, because in reality, he's a jewel thief. And what he wants is to get her institutionalized, because it turns out they're living in the house that he stored the jewels.
There's always an end game for the gaslight.
Yes, always.
Always. It could be
Okay.
another woman,
Money.
money.
Yep,
Mm-hmm.
all that good stuff. So finally, a cop is like walking down the road and he sees the flickering. And usually back then in the day, if you saw flickering lights, that means it's going to blow up or something. So he goes and he knocks on the door, freaking out, got to evacuate the people and everything. And he's like, don't you see the lights flickering? And all of a sudden the woman realizes it's all been the truth.
Smoking mirrors the whole time.
Yep.
By the gaslighter.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the...
How can people get away with this when it's so blatant? How does this happen in our world, in today's world, 2017?
Mm-hmm.
How can they still do this?
Because people always want control.
Mm-hmm.
I read online somewhere that a gaslighter in real life is a coward that can't even deal with its own emotions and has to manipulate and
Others.
have control over others to get the power that he craves, because
He or she.
he has they have no self-esteem. And the scary thing about gaslighting is it can happen with a mother and a daughter. So the mother gaslights the daughter can gaslight the mother. It can happen in the office.
It can happen in business.
It can happen in business. It mostly happens in romantic relationships.
And in cults too.
And in cult leaders
Cult
do it.
leaders. Yeah.
I read here, and I heard you guys, I was eavesdropping on you before we started recording. You were talking about brainwashing, interrogation, and torture.
Mhm. Yeah.
As well as I heard the cult word.
Yeah.
What is all that?
Think about it. You're a cult leader.
Okay, I'm a cult leader.
Okay, let's do Scientology, because I've been watching the Leah Remedies
Oh.
stuff. Oh my god, it's insane. That's gaslighting. That is gaslighting to a freaking T. Okay, so Scientology. L. Ron Hubbard needs people. So he comes up with this amazing thing. People start following him, but he dies, and then David Miscavige takes over, right? So to keep that control, all they do is gaslighting the whole entire time and make it seem that, hey, if you don't do this, then the whole world is going to break apart. And that's how cults do it. If you don't do this, then all the other the whole entire Earth, everyone in the planet is going to change, or it's going to go downhill, or it's going to blow up, or an asteroid's going to hit it. What is that, Heaven's Gate? Yeah. All
It's
this
taken
stuff.
to the extreme.
Yeah. It's
Playing
taken to the
on
extreme.
our fears.
Yeah.
Playing on another person's fears in order to manipulate and gain positive control. And it is a skill set. Not everybody, is capable of doing it, which takes us back to the pathological liar having that. And I don't want to, when I use the term talent, it's not to be complimentary in any way.
Sure.
But it is a particular talent to be able to spin such a yarn.
It's an ability.
Yes.
Yeah.
And narcissists do it all the time.
Yes. And what's scary, something I came across in research, a person can be a gaslighter and not even be aware that he or she is a gaslighter.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It says here that the perfect subject for gaslighting is someone who has very strong values.
Yep.
Someone who does not tolerate ambiguity, uncertainty, someone who's not tolerant of the lies and facetiousness. And that makes a good target. So that's even more insidious.
Well, think about it. That person is what you want to be, but you can't be it for whatever reason.
So you wear them down.
So you wear them down, and you manipulate, and you control.
It's part of the
this-
end game.
Yeah, and the subject says, and it says in the research here, it says that the subject continues to deny that this person is actually that bad,
Yeah.
that they are that conniving and
Yeah.
manipulative. So the victim becomes one of the biggest supporters of the person who's victimizing them.
Which takes you back to suspension of disbelief because you
That's
don't want to
it.
believe that
Yes.
that person is that terrible and doing those things to you.
Because the person,
Amazing.
I don't know if you read about narcissists and the 3 phases that they go through with gaslighting. So you got that idolization phase where everything is smoke and mirrors and it's the best relationship and they give them gifts and, all this beautiful
Charm
stuff. Charm them to death, charismatic leadership, all that good stuff. That's the first phase. The second phase is devaluing. That's when gaslighting is at its pinnacle,
That's the
peak
crescendo of it right there.
Yeah, and so they just take and they wear the person down and wear the person down. And then they just discard them. Because guess what? They got to the end game. They don't need them anymore.
So it's on to the next.
Yes, and because the whole purpose with narcissists and these 3 phases is, with narcissism, they are very grandiose. So they have to feed the fact that they're this amazing person, and how do you do it? You have someone think they're amazing, and then you just chop them down.
So there will be conversations that occur, and the gaslighter refuses to even remember the conversations, while the victim, the subject, is totally confused, confounded, because they remember a conversation.
Oh, but that didn't happen.
But the gaslighter says there was no conversation.
It didn't happen.
That never happened.
And then they start thinking, well, did it happen? Am I remembering it wrong?
And there's where you come in with being able to dominate and control, because once the doubt sets in, all they need is a kernel of doubt.
Yep.
And it's like, that's my way in.
And that's how the lies become facts.
It says from here on in, the narcissist becomes cold, unfeeling, and bitingly cruel.
Yep.
And the person begins to feel that it's all their fault. I brought this on myself.
It says here, this is some Lynette information. It says victims are known to experience biochemical changes in the body and structural changes in the brain. The release of endorphins in the brain occurs, and the endorphins make a victim feel euphoria at the beginning of the relationship because the victim believes that they are in a trusting relationship like an addict, it says. They become addicted to a security and a comfort, and oh my gosh. And it's an illusion.
Yeah, Gottman calls it limerick.
Limerick.
Mm-hmm.
That is amazing. So you said devaluation. I see here that we have cognitive dissonance. We have Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah, because in a way, they've been so isolated that it's like being captive.
And it is being held captive. I
Yeah.
mean, emotionally and mentally, you're being held captive. Maybe not physically to the degree, but eventually it does evolve into that, to the point where you really don't want to come out the house because you doubt yourself.
Well, I mean, in domestic violence, the guy that's abusing isolates the woman or the female. I mean, it can go either way technically, and so it's a form of Stockholm syndrome.
As a result, the victims are now caught in the macabre dance with the narcissist, pathological, grandiose self, where hell reigns supreme. The victims regress into infantile, regressive patterns of behavior, called regressed infantilism. And that it says there is actually something called narcissistic victim syndrome.
Gotta research
That's called NVS. And this is when the subject becomes reduced to a shadow of their former self. They're at the mercy, whims, and pleasure of the narcissist.
because they're gaslighted.
Because they've been gaslighted. Now, would it be fair to say that every good narcissist puppet master needs a sidekick?
They do.
For you, in order to feel important.
So it's normally, is it normally not just one person doing the gaslighting? It might be two. The narcissist and the yes man, if you will. The one who's pulling the narcissist strings.
Yeah, that's the way to look at it.
Because narcissists, as a rule, don't they usually have to have help doing what they do?
A little assistance along
Yes. They don't normally do well all by themselves.
Well, there's
So-
someone who has to carry out their plans.
Yes. So we're looking, when you're looking at a narcissist who is inflicting this type of abuse on someone, you should also be looking for their partner in crime.
And it's usually a family member,
A family member.
like a mother. You know, the evil mother-in-law?
Or it's someone who serves the purpose.
Yeah.
Like if the narcissist has no relatable family members in the vicinity, it would be
They're bro.
their buddy.
Yep.
Right.
And again, let's
Okay.
talk about the personal gain, with the state of the end game. When we talk about, ending the relationship for the gain, and what's scary about it is when there's money involved, sometimes you have people who are institutionalized and they end up losing all of their financial rights to handle their affairs. Then, who takes over? The gaslighter.
It says the narcissist, who is your gaslighter? We're talking narcissists or gaslighters. The narcissist is merciless in the way they devalue the victim. Their plan is not just to, get a pound of flesh, if you will.
No, they're going to take every single thing. They're going to take your property, your house, your money,
Your
your
family.
dogs, your family. Your family's gone because you've been isolated. So, I mean, that relationship mutilated because your family is the one that, no, you need to leave, you need to leave. No, he's so amazing, he's so wonderful.
And that resistance plays into the narcissist's gaslighter's favor.
So when the narcissist chooses to gaslight someone, we're looking at total annihilation of that individual. And the people who support the gaslighting, who go along with it, they're just as guilty, I think, because they're contributing to something that is called the three faces of evil. It's an excerpt from Unmasking the Full Spectrum of Narcissistic Abuse. It's in print, The Three Faces of Evil. You might want to look that up. It's not just the three of us saying that these people are evil and no good. It's actually proven and it's real.
And there's some questions during the course of the research preparing for this, and I did not print that stuff off, but if a person watching this does suspect that he or she is in a relationship where gaslighting is involved, they are, on the receiving end of it.
Mhm.
There are questions that they can, there's a series of questions they can go through. You may have them with you
I
to
have
system check.
how to know whether someone is gaslighting you.
There you
There's
go.
15 things.
Mm-hmm.
Number 1, something is off. They're just off. There's something wrong.
It's all kilter.
2, you frequently second guess your ability to remember the details of past events, leaving you powerless.
Yes.
So he's saying one thing, you're remembering another thing, but you're not sure if it's real or not.
Yes.
You feel confused and disoriented. I always call it, you're talking to someone and they get that blank stare and you don't think you're making sense. That's part of it.
Yeah, because you've been told
Yeah.
you don't.
Yep. And you're confused because you in your head, I make perfect sense, but the social cues that you're getting back is, no, you don't make sense.
And that's very conditioning. That's very, very Pavlovian
Yep.
with the drooling dogs.
Yep.
Is that people are conditioned to believe and act the ways that are positively reinforced.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have someone telling you, oh, that conversation never happened, what are you talking about? Then you believe. Eventually you believe.
The lie becomes
Yeah.
the truth.
The lie becomes the truth. And so you think that you're not making sense. So yeah, that would be how that would go ahead.
Yeah, it's all good. You feel threatened and on edge around this person. And so it's like you're on eggshells all the time. Walking on eggshells. Because you just don't know what's going to happen. They might, if you're in domestic violence and he's gaslighting you at the same time, and so you're walking on eggshells freaking out, because at some point in time when you do something wrong, he might hit you. It might turn into physical abuse.
Or she.
Or she. Yeah, we need to think about that because females can
be just as abusive as males.
Exactly.
It's not gender specific.
No.
That's true.
Abuse is not.
It says whenever the victim, and they're calling the victims the gaslighting.
Mm-hmm.
When the gaslightee wants to try to reasonably discuss what is happening in the situation, the narcissist meets them with silence, or the narcissist says no.
Yep.
And the subject finds that everything that has now been put out to people has been twisted, trivialized, and downright corrupted.
The whole thing, their entire lives have been reframed without them even knowing it.
Without them knowing it.
And it's because the narcissist takes a one down position. So
And after the narcissist gets what they want, or after they realize the game is over, they drop them.
Yep.
They drop them
like a hot potato.
like a hot potato. They move on to another victim.
Yep.
It's always another victim.
And
It
it's always a
doesn't
cycle.
stop with one. It's a cycle. So if you're in this situation, don't think that just because you leave, the situation stops. You've got to remember, this is not you. You're not the one with the issue. The narcissist is the one who brought you into this issue. And after they use, abuse, and discard you,
It's on to the next.
they go to someone else and they'll do the same to them. So instead of, I guess if you survive this, you're pretty grateful just to be breathing and being alive.
Yeah.
But
What have you sacrificed in the process?
you've probably lost everything.
Yep.
You've probably lost everything. Or at least you've lost a lot. Let's just say that.
And the emotional recovery it's not easy.
No, it would not be.
It is not easy.
It would be a rebuilding.
Yeah,
And
it's-
like you said, cult.
It's related to PTSD.
I could see that.
Because it's so traumatizing to the individual.
Would it be called PTSD? Do you think it would fall into that, or is it just similar?
I think it would fall into it.
Easily I can see where it would fall in there.
Because you would have the flashbacks.
Mm-hmm.
You would have
The behaviors.
You would have the anxiety. I mean, think about
The
it.
depression.
The depression. And then, let's say you decide, hey, I want another relationship. Then you gotta go through the fear of, oh my God, this is gonna happen again. How am I gonna know that this person is gonna do the same thing the previous person did? It's like the cycle of abuse. You get out of that abusive relationship, but now you have this fear of the next person you're with is gonna abuse you the same way. And then you start noticing little things that are similar that the new person does that the old person did.
So do you think that, I mean, obviously anyone is going to be able to be a victim of this. Do you think there are certain types of personalities that would be more affected by this than others?
More susceptible.
Strong-willed people, that's like a big one.
The emotional damage causes the victim to lose sense of reality and sense of self. They isolate, they feel extra shame, and it says that their psychic energy becomes depleted and they are often left unable to defend themselves. The whole system feels that it's in danger of annihilation. So I'm thinking someone who's highly emotional would probably suffer greatly at this.
I agree.
Yeah. Someone maybe who reaches out to try to help others, maybe a do-gooder,
Yeah.
a Samaritan, somebody like that.
Someone with high morals, high work ethic, seems to have their whole life together, because that's the whole
Yeah.
purpose.
That
And
is.
gaslighting is to bring this person down.
And those are the people who respond the most extremely to gaslighting, according to research, are the people who actually have those values and things.
Yeah.
That is so strange.
Well,
How-
the narcissist, if you think about the challenge,
The challenge?
because the narcissist loves the challenge. It is to show and prove that you're not as smart as you think you are.
Yeah.
I'm smarter than you.
I'm better than you.
I'm better than you. You're not as clever as you think you are, because at every point I'm going to outwit or outsmart you.
Mhm.
So it's a
Yeah.
game. I mean, it's a very twisted
It's a
cat and
game.
mouse game.
Yeah.
Wow.
So another thing to keep in mind is,
And here's PTSD. This is
Yeah.
right what you were talking about.
so you feel the need to apologize all the time. So you're always saying, I'm sorry.
Mhm.
Because
And it's never enough.
it's never enough. It's never enough. You don't feel quite good enough. So this can go with kids, parents and kids. You never feel quite good enough.
Low self-esteem, low
You're
self-worth.
trying to live up to the demands and expectations of your parents. Guess what? That's a form of gaslighting.
Mm-hmm.
And you're apologizing
For
because,
falling short, according to them.
so there's that. You feel that there's something fundamentally wrong with you. Parents do it all the time. You don't live up to their expectations. There's something wrong with you. You feel there's nothing wrong with you. You apologize because you feel that there's something wrong with you. And that is the reason why you can't meet to their expectations. I'm using parents now instead of,
And that takes us back to the person who's gaslighting and doesn't even know that he or she is doing it.
parents
That's
don't
a
even
prime
know.
example.
Yes.
Prime example.
Yeah. So be nice to your kids.
I think that that there has to be something about people who survive gaslighting. I know that it says in the research here that PTSD, like what you said, PTSD is often the result of it.
Yeah.
And there are many different long-lasting effects. It says people who have anxiety and trust issues, it puts them into a different level. It's psychological abuse. They end up being a hostage for a period of time and they feel they lose their power. But what about someone who is a gaslightee, but for some way, somehow, that person fights back? What happens then?
Well, they take away all the control. Narcissists love the control. You take the control away, they're going to discard you faster because guess what? The game's over.
Oh,
There's
so
no interest.
so if someone is gaslighting you for couple years, few years,
And you finally stand up and say, I'm not going to take this anymore. You're lying. I would start writing things down. That's what I would do. I would start document. They bring something up. You say, no, this is how it went down. You take out your trusty book and you read date October 28th, 2016. This is what you said. This was my reply. Boom. Now what? That's how I would take back the control.
It says
Well,
here
that's
that
coming to play.
Yeah.
narcissists often use gaslighting having to do with money. And there's quite a good write-up here about that. But the thing is to make the victim dependent upon the narcissist for money. And nothing fuels the deranged ego of the narcissist more than to make the impoverished victim, and impoverished, of course, would be financially impoverished and psychologically impoverished, dependent upon him, the narcissist, for money, so he can then turn around and abuse her for being good for nothing, psychologically or financially.
Oh, think about it. They'll be like, oh, you've been working so hard. Why don't I take care of the finances so that's one less thing you have to worry about? And then all of a sudden, he has taken over
Financial control.
and then she needs $20 for gas. And he says, well, what have you been doing lately that, is worthy of this $20 for gas? Well, I gotta get to work.
Requesting permission to even use
Yeah.
the ATM card to get gas or food or groceries or just things that you need.
Yep.
Reduced to that.
This person wrote in and said that she had escaped twice and twice went back to her narcissistic gaslighter.
It was what she knew.
After 5 years in this relationship, she moved into a shelter with her teenage son, disconnected her telephone. He still emails her with I love yous 1 minute, and the next minute everything was all your fault. And the next minute, if you only wanted unity, so this is your fault that we're not together. And he referred to the relationship as a dance.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it is a dance.
It is a dance.
You just don't know that you're the partner.
Yeah.
You're literally being led around the dance floor by this person.
This lady said that she became isolated from friends and family because they kept telling her to leave this relationship. She didn't leave. So eventually they had nothing more to do with her.
Oh yeah, you can only tell someone so many times, and then you're like, well,
this isn't good for you, this isn't good for you, this isn't good for you, to the point where it's like you're blue in the face.
Yeah.
It's like, what's the point?
it's a circle.
She said that people told her if she didn't get away from him, that they weren't going to help her. She said when she tried to leave the house, he smashed her car. And then he told everyone else that she was doing that to him. So that kind of sounds like part of the MO for your narcissist here is to blame the victim for doing the exact same things that the narcissist does. So if the narcissist lies, the narcissist cancels your credit card, and then they tell other people, oh no, she canceled my credit card.
It's part of the game.
It's part of the game. And you're like, well, no, I didn't do that.
And that's why you're gaslighting.
And you're trying to explain yourself.
And the harder you try, the worse you look.
It's hard.
Wow.
It's hard. So let's go more into this. You feel like you're constantly overreacting. You feel isolated, hopeless, misunderstood, and depressed, which we just talked about. You find it hard to trust your own judgment if you're given a choice because your fear is that you choose the wrong thing and that he's going to abuse you.
So therefore I don't leave. Because I don't know how. Wow, okay.
You feel scared and as though something is terribly wrong and you don't know what it is or why. So you always feel something's wrong. And you feel it's you, not him.
Sure.
Because he or she is the epitome of perfection in your mind at that point. Flawless.
Because they've lured you.
But I don't think it's just him. I think it's several people. Because he has
his own group of people.
He has a group. And that's that whole bully mentality again. Let's get a group of people.
And they believe it.
And they follow.
So he isolates you from your people because they're tired of saying, hey, you need to leave
Sure.
him.
Sure.
And then he's got his own group of people, and you're always around that group of people. So he's always right. He's always in control, even if it gets to the point where you even doubt yourself.
Right.
So you can't even speak out loud properly. So you're just sitting there trying to exist the best way you can as this little shell of a person, and you're trying to remember the good days, and it's been taken over by the bad days. You know, you find it hard to make decisions because you distrust yourself. That happens after you get out because he's controlled every decision you've made, even if you realize it or not. You know, you hate pizza, but you know he likes pizza, so you go and you get pizza and you deal with eating pizza. It's something as simple as that.
And then after you split up, you still go to get pizza.
You still go and get pizza.
And you realize, I don't even like this.
But you've been conditioned for so long.
For so long. And even
So
after the fact, you still have that spontaneous recovery popping back up.
You know, so there's that. You feel as though you're a weaker version of yourself, and you wish you were strong and confident. Where did that person go? Have you ever?
That low self-esteem.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that every so often. I'm like, where did that fearless little girl I used to be? Where is she now? It's, you know, years of being on this earth and whatnot, but you're weak, you know, and you want to.
Or the perception of self is that self is weak when not.
But if I could make you look in the mirror and see a mouse, even though you're a lion, then I've won.
Because he's the lion. There can't be two lions. There can't be a lion and a lioness because the lioness takes over.
I saw that on Criminal Minds a couple months ago. Very similar, and it was like through a hypnosis, and the person thought that she was being held captive, and thought that the abductor was someone else. And actually thought she was dying at one point because he had told her she was. Yeah. And until there was something wrong with that state of consciousness, she saw something different in it. And she said that this isn't right. And it pulled her out. But I could see that because he would say something like, "You're a mouse. Look at this mirror. You're a mouse. And you act as a mouse does." And that's, you could take someone who's very, very strong.
Believe the lie long enough.
Believe the lie.
And you're afraid of speaking up and expressing your emotions. That's the big one. So it's evil.
But all it takes is one person to believe you. All it takes is one to believe you. And in those relationships, those abusive relationships, just like coming here to Counseling Solutions for help, the hardest step is the first step, but the follow through becomes easier as time goes on. But it's just make that first step.
That's what we're here for.
I think it's real interesting that this came under domestic violence. And I'm so glad that you found this and that we could talk about it, because if someone doesn't know that this is being done,
they stay in that.
And they never know that what they're in is a bad situation, then they're not going to try to get out of it.
Because they don't know how.
And you know, maybe if you just maybe even think that you might be in that type of situation, maybe like what Miss Lynette says, maybe you just run it by an objective third party and say, you know, Miss Lynette, this is my situation. And I just have a question. Do you think that's normal? Do you think that's a fair relationship? If you're in doubt, run it by someone. Fact check. Someone who's not related to you, someone who's not your girl, somebody who's not going to be your bobblehead.
Not
and say yes. Yeah, and don't walk up to people on the streets either.
That doesn't go well.
You could get arrested for that. So let's not do that. So we won't turn you into the cops to come and talk to us.
No.
Yeah.
Run it by us first.
Run it by us first, yeah.
Come by.
Yes.
Come by.
So it seems that there are recourses for this. And we do have more information. If you need more information, give us a call. Our number is on the website, and if you need it again, it's 254-519-1144. We are Counseling Solutions. We have a Facebook page under Counseling Solutions, Killeen, Texas, and we have a lot of articles on that Facebook page about gaslighting.
Yes, and narcissistic abuse.
And narcissism and borderlines, narcissistic abuse. Please take the time to go to the to the Facebook page. Go to the Facebook page and download some of that information. It's very interesting, and it can help you make some good decisions.
Yes. We're here to help.
Or come to the DV group.
Come to the DV group. How does somebody sign up for that, Michelle?
Just call Counseling Solutions and they will put your name on a list. And the day before it starts, I will call or text and talk to you about it, and we'll see you. And so it starts November 1st at 6:30 p.m. and it's going to probably be about 90 minutes long. So
if I miss the first one or two, can I call and still come back?
It's an open group, so anyone can come at any time. If we need to go over certain things, we'll go over them over and over again until we figure it out.
Yeah. So that would be worth your while.
Yes.
And is it during the day, you said, or at night?
It's at night, so 6:30 p.m. to 8.
Do you have childcare?
No,
Okay.
that might be an issue.
Right. But that's understandable. I don't think I'd want my kids in that
definitely.
conversation.
Do not bring the kids
Yeah,
to
I
the
think-
group. It's bad.
It's not that we don't like kids, but it's very intensive. It's very emotional, and for children, even the conversation alone or being exposed to it can be traumatizing, because kids will ask questions to things that they don't understand.
And they're
Out of
smarter
innocence.
than you think they are.
They are, and very observant.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah.
Just not that we don't like kids, not that we don't love kids. We do. It's to protect their innocence, or however much of their innocence is still there. Is to maintain that innocence for that child.
We appreciate you spending your time with us, and if you have a chance, you ought to subscribe to this channel. I think you might find some pretty good videos. We try to keep you up to date on stuff, and if you have an idea for a video and that you might want us to do, a topic that you might want researched, please feel free to either contact us on Facebook, call, comment on the email, comment on this channel. This is our channel. We'll be happy to address those topics.
Yes.
So you guys have a really good day.
Enjoy your weekend.
And take care of yourselves.
Bye.